I've been wanting to get this young lady on here for a long time, but schedules happen, illnesses happen, me, and then other crazy things happen. But here she is. She's up near my neck of the woods, up in Northwest Indiana. This is Kadie Daye, our version of KD. How are you? Good to talk to you.
Nice to meet you officially via face call because I feel like we've done most
Absolutely.
of our talking over text, which is how people do it nowadays.
It's how people do it, and I'm so glad that you're on here. How did you get into this? Tell the story. How'd you get into doing music, being a DJ? How'd you get started?
Well, I actually wanted to be a radio host since I was 8 years old. So
Nice.
yeah, my people get into it different ways. Like, some people get into it by accident. I meant to. I was aware of the salary averages when I got into it. But I was in the car with my mom driving. I wasn't driving, she was. And my parents had just gotten a divorce. And so my mom used to have to drive my brother and I to school. And me being the oldest, I got the front seat. So my mom would be driving us to school. And we would be listening to the radio stations that are in Northwest Indiana because that's my hometown. And when we were listening, there was this one show that used to be on the air that was based out of Chicago called Fred and Angie. And Angie she had a story that she shared that day that I was listening about one of her friends going through a divorce and what it means for the kids of divorce. And it just caught my ear. And I felt like she was talking straight to me, the 8-year-old in the car, even though she had no idea who I was. So I decided from that point forward, I wanted to be the voice for people who maybe didn't have one yet. And I wanted to do exactly what they did. And I became like a radio freak about it. Like I'd listen to the radio stations. When it would go to music, then I changed the signal to a different frequency just to hear more people talk and obsess over them. So I was a little weird. But I've been in it now going on 10 years. It's going to be 10.
Beautiful. That's kind of how I got started in sportscasting, listening to a whole bunch of Bulls games back home in Chicago, and I heard the voice of Jim Durham. And I said, you know what? If Jim Durham can do it, I can do it. And here I am going on my 30th year doing this. My
Nice.
first assignment was a pure accident because I was at Chicago State with a friend of mine, and he checked out a camera from the speech department, and I don't know why my head buzzed, but I looked at him and I said, Kevin, can you attach a microphone to that? And he said, yeah, what do you have in mind? And apparently, according to Kevin and a few other people in the area, there was this big old wicked grin on my face. So we went over to the old arena. Lo and behold, that was my first game. Chicago State playing Northern Illinois. And I will never forget that night because that started everything.
Yeah.
So where have you been in your travels? Coming up on your 10th year.
Yeah. So I started actually as a high schooler going to Valparaiso University. So I never went to Valparaiso University, but as a high schooler, some of my friends went to bigger schools in the area like Chesterton High School and Andrean and Crown Point. And they said that they had a radio station in their school and they used to kind of rub it in my face because they knew I wanted to do it so bad. And that just made me light a fire within. So I ended up going when I was 17 and knocking on the Valparaiso University doors until finally someone let me in. It was a glass door on the radio station. So I made eye contact with someone. I knew they were in there, and that was their mistake because I didn't stop after that. And so I
I love
begged them to let me on their station. I wasn't a student at the time, I was just in high school. And they said, you know what, you could do nights because no one wants to do that. So I would do that every single night, like at least 3 times a week. But I was there pretty much every night, even if I wasn't on the air. And then I went to college for radio in Goshen College. It's one of the top radio schools in the nation. And I went there to study, and then I worked in LaPorte as an intern at WCOE
I love
96.7.
it. I
I
love
worked
it.
there right out of my freshman year of college. My professor said, "You don't need an internship yet. You can wait till you're a senior." And I said, "No, I'm not going to be off the radio for the whole summer." So I went and found an intern job there, and then I got noticed by the program director at U93 in South Bend, who it's number one for Michiana's hit music station. So I worked there for about 2 years. And then I met this guy. His name's Doug Montgomery. He used to be the VP of country programming in Town Square Media, which is a radio company. He wanted me to go to Buffalo, New York. And so I said, sounds like an adventure. And I moved to Buffalo for about 4 years. And now I just came back to the region. So
What high school did you go to?
I went to Wheeler.
Wheeler.
Yeah.
Wheeler, if I remember, Bearcats?
Yes.
Is
And
that
one,
right?
yeah. And one time we didn't have a mascot when I was in high school. And one time I stole slash borrowed the suit and I got caught by the janitor.
Oh no.
Yeah, it was my friend's senior night, and they were doing their senior softball game. And I said, someone needs to bring out the Bearcat suit. And they said, no one's been in the suit for like 2 to 3 years. So I went and found it in the storage unit everyone knew where it was. And I went in there, and as I was putting it on my body, like I'm stepping into it, the janitor saw me
Oh
and
no.
said, what are you doing with the suit? And I said, look, I'm going to bring it back. Like, my name's Kadie. Really sorry you had to see this. I'm just taking it out to the softball game. I did return it. It smelled just as bad.
This is why I love when I do mic to mic with my guests, because they always have some crazy stories to share with me. I'll share one of my own. Speaking of softball, I was at South Suburban College, and they were doing their breast cancer game.
Mhm.
Well, as you can see, I'm bald, and the girls got an idea because they couldn't. They were painting a ribbon on their jersey. So they looked at me and I looked at them, and they said, "Where can we paint a ribbon?" So of course I became their guinea pig. I took my hat off and I pointed to my back of my head and I said, "Let me have it." And they painted this. They painted the pink ribbon on my head.
That's one way to market.
It is,
That's cool.
and kept it. Well, they took a picture of that and they showed it all year to all their opponents. So all the kids got in. All the kids got in on the fun. What was the craziest adventure you had since you've been on the mic?
Ooh, I've done a few crazy things, but I think
Oh,
th- I have. But the thing that came to mind first was I make it known that I'm a bit of a risk taker and I'll try anything once. And someone wanted to see if that was really the case. They emailed me
mhm,
from WYRK Erie County, which is a nonprofit in Western New York that helps adults with developmental disabilities. And
right.
she said, hey, we do this event every year. It's called Over the Edge. It happens in multiple cities. We need an MC, and we want you to go over the edge of the tallest building in Buffalo, New York. You're harnessed up, you go down, you walk yourself down with the rope or rappel, whatever, and everything's fine. It's just 529 feet. So I got my harness on and I went down the building, even though it was incredibly stressful. I GoPro'd it all because I didn't know if I'd ever do this again. And then I emceed the rest of the event. So I was kind of the test repeller because yeah. I they sent that to me too. They said, "Oh, you're the first one to go down. You're kind of the test bunny." And I'm like, "Great. That's what I want to hear
So you
right
were the
before I
guinea pig.
repel."
So you were the guinea pig for this adventure.
Yes.
You were the guinea pig for this adventure.
I know. I was like, "This is okay. This is not what you say right before someone goes down."
Right. This is it's like we never had anyone do this before. Like now you tell me.
Well, they had people do it before in years prior, but that was the first repeller of the event for that year.
Gotcha. Gotcha. I was a guinea pig for a test ride for an amusement park up in Minnesota. They had this place, they had this ride called Power Tower. They were opening it was 2000. They were opening it and somehow my name got brought up and me being on the radio before got brought up and they said, "We want you to test ride Power Tower." I'm not getting in that thing.
Right.
Yeah, they tried everything in the book cuz I had actually worked there at the time. All the employees had to test ride power tower. I'm like, you are not getting me in that thing. I'll sit on the train. I'll sit anywhere else. You ain't getting me in that power tower. Then my supervisor came up with the bribe of all bribes. You do power tower, I'll buy you lunch for the first week. Ah,
Okay, food. Now we're
fine,
talking.
fine, you're on. Yeah, I went up and I took the slow one. I slowly went up, and then I heard the brakes release, and I'm going, I'm gonna fall. Down it goes, and everybody was just shaking my hand. You're doing great. Let me find the supervisor so I can beat him to a bloody pulp.
Right?
He did live up to his promise. I did get lunch. I did get lunch that week. Talking with Kadie Daye from my old stomping grounds up in the region in Northwest Indiana. We're sharing adventures. We're sharing stories. And you have this thing you do on YouTube I think it's between the breaks.
Yes,
You
yes.
share that. How'd you come up with that concept? How did that idea come about?
And it kind of just that happened on accident. So my coworker and friend, Brooke Hunter, she is on the morning show at the station I do middays for. So every day before she left the studio and I walked in, we would do a bit of a handoff. And so she'd say, "Hey, here you go." Like, and then I would say, "Oh, I'm coming in." And so we talked for a few minutes. And I said, "We should start a podcast." And she asked what it should be called. And I said, "We should call it Between the Breaks because in between our shows is when we usually do our handoff." And
Mhm.
that's when we would start talking about all this stuff. And I said, we should just make this a thing and do it every week. So we have to update that. But a lot of us had issues over the last few weeks. Like things went medical, all the
Fair
stuff.
enough. Fair enough. Fair enough. There are two stories I want to touch on before I let you go. And we get to our next break here. One was, and I can't believe I'm bringing this up, but it's a hell of an idea. And I tried to convince my wife to do it, but we couldn't do it because we didn't go anywhere. The emergency birthday candle, where where you would take a candle everywhere on your birthday and you get a dessert or something, and then you then you blow it out to celebrate.
But yeah, you can only have so many wishes on your birthday. So you might as well take the candle everywhere you go. And then
Yep.
whatever you consume that day, you stick it in there and you make a wish. I mean, the more wishes, the better.
And the one that you got to leave our audience with, I heard this while rolling through doing production. You got to tell our audience the Drew Carey story, where you apologize to Drew Carey every year. You have to tell that story before we go to break.
Yeah, so it's well actually it was my friend that was on The Price is Right and I was with her. It was a group of us that went, we were in attendance and they called up my friend London. She ended up winning like the pontoon boat, the car, everything like that. And so when she got up there and won the grand prize, we were all super ecstatic for her, especially because her car just kind of hit the dust the week before. So all of us when she won, we didn't even ask for permission. We asked for forgiveness. We stormed the stage and as I was going up there, like Drew Carey went to get out of the way, and instead I kind of like I checked his shoulder. And I tried to say sorry, but it was so loud and so chaotic at the time that I feel like he never really heard me. So on his birthday every year, I just feel like I have to apologize to the public. And one day maybe Drew Carey will get wind of the apology.
That is fantastic. And that's my favorite game show. Kadie Daye joining us here on this edition of Mike to Mike as we keep things rolling along here on Snowman in the Morning. My dear, an absolute pleasure, an absolute delight, and I hope you come back again sometime.
Yeah, just let me know when.